Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. Welcome back to another episode on Beyond the Touchline. This is the post-game week show for Game Week 21. Now, we're going to try a little bit of a new concept here. Usually we go through the table, these statistics, my predictions, and then after that we'll go through every single game and talk about the games. But for this week, I want to try a little bit different. I want to try something a little bit different. We're just going to be talking the table, these statistics, have a look at my predictions, and after that I'll give you my takeaways from this weekend. So there can be a few, there can be many. But for this week, I've decided to come up with 6 of my biggest takeaways from this weekend. So drop a like on the video if you guys are enjoying this series, and maybe this new change is something that will intrigue you a little bit more. And of course, subscribe if you're new around here. But yeah, let's jump right in. So here you can see the Premier League table. It looks pretty much the same, I think, as last week. As in, it didn't really feel like much of a change. The bottom 5 have all lost their games. So because of that, their gap to the guys ahead are just gonna extend itself even more. So Palace did win. We're going backwards this time. Palace did win. Tottenham now winless in 5 Premier League games. Actually, to be honest, ever since they lost to Man City, ever since they beaten Man City, they've only picked up 5 points of a possible 27. So it just shows how bad of a run Tottenham have been having. West Ham United both picked up wins over there. Brentford drew, obviously Man City. Fulham did lose. And you can see Brighton with a win, finally, at last. Brighton have managed to pick themselves a win. Bournemouth on a draw, Villa with a win, City, Chelsea, both with draws as well. Newcastle, 5 wins in a row, and actually more like 9 wins in a row across all competitions, which is an impeccable record from Newcastle. Nottingham obviously drew with Liverpool, and Arsenal did win. So Arsenal effectively have closed the gap to 4 points behind Liverpool. Obviously, again, Liverpool have a game in hand against Everton. I don't really know how that's going to change. But yeah, just a couple of heads up from the pre-game week show of Game Week 21. Obviously, I completely forgot about the FA Cup. That's for sure. And then after that, the news came a bit too late for me. So Dyche had the sack, and obviously Moyes has replaced him. Welcome back, David Moyes, to the Premier League. But yeah, Moyes did take charge of the game against Villa, and we'll have a look at that after this one. Sorry, of course, we always have to do these statistics first before having a look at the results here. But obviously, Salah didn't score any goals against Nottingham Forest, so he still stays at 18. The same with Erling Haaland on 16. Isak has scored another one, so he's now on 15. Palmer did score one, so he's on 14. And Wemo on 13, joint with Chris Wood, who did score against Liverpool, so he's on 13 goals as well. And as for the assist-wise, Salah is still up there with 13, followed by Saka with 10. Robinson had 2 assists in the game against West Ham, so now he's up with 9 assists, and Murphy and Damsgaard both on 7. Right, so these are my predictions. I've managed to predict the outcome of 4 games only this time around, but I predicted the Newcastle Wolves game exactly right, a 3-0 win. So you can see my predictions right here in front of you. And as for the results, Chelsea drew Bournemouth 2-2. West Ham beat Fulham by 3-2. Brentford drew City 2-2 there as well. Nottingham Forest drawing with Liverpool, also a 1-1 draw. Newcastle, as I said, 3-0 win against Wolves. Everton lost to Villa, rather slim margin of victory. 1 goal to the good for the Villains. Leicester City lost 2-0 to Crystal Palace. Arsenal victors in the North London derby against Tottenham, despite Tottenham scoring first. So Arsenal 2, Tottenham 1. Ipswich defeat against Brighton over there, and Man United, a 3-1 win for them. Right, so I'll leave the results on the screen as I'm editing this while I go through my 6 big takeaways. So the first big takeaway from this weekend is Nottingham Forest are still genuinely remarkable. Now, looking at the result, it's a fantastic result from Nottingham, right? Again, coming to that game against Liverpool, they were up against it 100%. I mean, obviously, who wouldn't expect Liverpool to win the game? We can see why. They did already caused an upset when they beat them earlier in the season, and people are partially backing them up to do the same thing again. But I think it's quite clear in the game itself, Nottingham Forest were just not that good against Liverpool. You can really see the quality difference despite them going 1-0 up early doors, which I think it's really helped them because it allowed them to sit back and sort of try to maneuver and dictate the game from them moving forward. But obviously, Liverpool just, I think, would have been too much for them to handle, and Liverpool had some really, really good chances. Clearance off the line. Matt Sells was insane as well. Their defense was just a little bit tighter, which just didn't really give Liverpool enough space to wander around and try to get good shots in. And again, Nottingham Forest at only like 20-something%. I think close to 30% of the ball throughout the entirety of the game. And they still managed to get a draw against Liverpool. And again, with limited shots as well to their name. it's remarkable what Nottingham Forest are doing. They come into each game with, I think, a certain amount of quality. Despite them knowing they're up against it, they're still able to show what they can do as a team. They're gelling so well. I think, yes, I think, as I said, the chances that they create are just so good to the point they're so scary. And honestly, the way Nottingham are playing, I really don't understand how they've lost 3-0 against City, especially when City were still struggling and they arguably are still struggling. Yeah, it just baffles me how they've not managed to beat City. It just feels weird to me, but regardless, right, it's a great result from Nottingham. And obviously Liverpool, they play extremely well, and I feel that I felt that they should have won that game, but obviously they didn't. Arsenal obviously closed the gap, which is good again for the title race, I guess. But don't get me wrong, Nottingham Forest are still that good. They're just crazy good, and as I said, I love to see what they can do throughout the rest of the season. People are arguably comparing them to Leicester. Will they win the league? I think it's going to be quite challenging. You've got to have the two teams above them to bottle. It could happen. I mean, it could happen, but for me at least, I think what Nottingham just needs to do is, I said, just get the best result that they can game in, game out, and just see what they can do moving forward to just get the best results possible. As for Liverpool, yes, getting draws now a little bit scary maybe, but I mean, the quality of this team is still really up there. The team is still gelling really well down the slot. And yeah, I think we're still backing Liverpool to win the league, providing nothing crazy happens. But still, credit goes to Nottingham Forest for that game, and still this season in general, they are still that good. Right, the second biggest takeaway for me is, are Newcastle in the title race? Now, they've won 9 games in a row now in all competitions. Aggregate score of 26-3. And this was when I was talking about how Newcastle had a negative goal difference at some point in the season in the Premier League. Now their goal difference looks extremely healthy, and to have a plus 23 over 9 games in all competitions is crazy. It's so good, right? That's the first. Second, Isak is exceptionally incredible at this point in time, right? He scored 8 games in a row now in the Premier League. We talked about this in pre-game week show. Is he going to continue this trend moving forward? Is he going to 9 in a row, 10 in a row, 11 in a row? Vardy scored 11 in a row, and that was when Leicester won the Premier League that year. Will Isak match Vardy's record? Or will he even go a step further and score 12 in a row, which is, I think, is a bit too much to ask for at this point. It's so difficult to score goals, in games, and to ask a striker to be consistently scoring, even just ask a player in general to consistently score in so many games. Even Erling Haaland, despite his crazy amount of goals over these past 2.5 seasons, right? Or 2.5 seasons, yeah. It's still extremely crazy that Haaland's not able to do that. And now we see Isak potentially being able to potentially break this record. I don't know if it's going to happen. But then the question again goes back to, are Newcastle in the title race? Now, if you look at the table again, which, you can see it for yourself again, but Newcastle are just 3 points behind Nottingham Forest. And when I talk about how good Nottingham Forest have been, there is still that potential for Nottingham to drop points, right? You've got to understand that all the teams above Newcastle, they are dropping points at times, and Newcastle is just there picking up win after win after win. It's almost as if they're emulating a Man City when they are crazy. And I'm sort of seeing that in Newcastle. And I think if Newcastle continues like this, I think there are reasons to be worried, I guess, that Newcastle could just be this dark horse that really threatened the title, and no one would have expected it, right? I think this season has given us a lot of shocks already. Could this be another one? Could this play another twist in the Premier League title? I genuinely don't know. But the way Newcastle are playing, they look so comfortable on the ball. They look so threatening. They look so happy. Very cheerful football. Really, really good. And everything's just clicking together in the team. And if they're going to continue like this, I really don't see how they're not going to challenge the title. It could happen. Just saying. So again, we just have to look forward to what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. But Newcastle are going to be pretty interesting to watch if they continue like this. Right, third biggest takeaway for me. Man City and Chelsea are in shambles. Right, so first of all, let's talk about Man City. They were 2-0 up in that game against Brentford. Yes, I think Brentford were threatening at times. I watched the game. Yes, I agree. Brentford were threatening. When they were attacking against City, just looked really vulnerable. And I think there was a statistic that City are the most vulnerable team when it comes to crosses into their own box. And I think it goes to show again in this game, two really just avoidable goals in general. I think Ake played a really good game in that game, when it comes to, getting the ball off the line. I think defensively is quite good. Again, obviously Diaz being injured. Are we missing Diaz? Probably, but ultimately, still just poor. To go 2-0 up, it's like Feyenoord all over again, isn't it? To go 2-0 up in one game and still bottle it 2-2 to concede again a 90-odd minute. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? And a club of that stature, Man City, you don't expect them to do something like that, but everything has gone wrong this season. Anything that could have gone wrong has gone wrong this season, and it's really hard for me to put a finger and say that what exactly is wrong. I think everything is just wrong in general. The way that they're playing is just not good enough. Attacking threat not good enough. Haaland, yes, it's a very bad season, but he still scored many goals. But still, that still isn't enough for City to pick up the points. He was again very quiet in that game against Brentford, just existing over there on the pitch. Yes, he signed a 10-year contract all the way to 2034, but we still got to make the best of him. We can't just let him stay up front there as a striker, just essentially not doing anything. He's not even being used as a good decoy right now because clearly he's just not performing it. The whole team just isn't at their best. When they went 2-0 up, I was really happy. I was like, now we've got to try our best to stay with this lead, right? To just hold on. And talking about holding on, I remember I talked about it when City said, they've got to score as many as they can up to the 70th minute. And from there, it's all about defending after that, right? To just get the result over the line and just move on. And this is what's exactly what happened in this game. Pulled all the way to 70th minute, or 70-ish over there, and then started to crumble. Brentford looked lively, just kept attacking. The first goal from Visser, I genuinely felt that was completely avoidable. Somehow Ake missed the header, and in that 3 to 4 yard distance between him and the goal, he's just had a massive goal to aim at. It's very difficult to Ortega to save at that point. Second goal, I felt it wasn't the best of headers. Ortega couldn't keep it out. Many moments in that game when I felt that City were just playing terribly again, and we went 2-0 up, as I said. Just hold on. They failed to hold on, and that was exactly what happened. Shambles. Absolute shambles from this club. And next, Chelsea. Now, on the 22nd of December 2024, Maresca talked about how Chelsea are not in the title race. And I said it myself too. I said that it's not that I don't want them to be in the title race, but I said I feel that the pressure is going to get onto them. And I said that they've just got to find a way to work around this. I said, to challenge Liverpool is one thing, but the mentality that the club needs to possess is that they need to try their best, right, to obviously win games moving forward. But they cannot have this mentality that in the title race, the pressure's probably going to get too much into them and they're going to feel really worried and they'll make mistakes or they won't score goals and not get results. And look at what's happened after that. 5 Premier League games in a row, winless. They've picked up 3 out of 15 points. It's arguably as bad or slightly better than Tottenham's 5 out of 27, and is arguably similar to City's record when they were just struggling as well. The game against Bournemouth, they were 1-0 up. Bournemouth took it back to level terms, sure, and then Bournemouth went 2-1 up, and Chelsea drew thanks to a last-minute free kick goal by Reece James. Yes, I guess the fighting spirit is there within Chelsea, but clearly that's not going to get you titles, that's not going to get you results, and now the top 4 is under jeopardy. They're not even top 4 anymore, they're now in 5th, and they were at some point 2 points behind Liverpool, and now how many points behind are they? And they're just a point ahead of Man City, who've also been struggling massively. This just goes to show that form is just so important in the Premier League, or in general, right? Any sport that you play, you need to have that momentum to push you forward. And look at what Newcastle are doing with their potential. Look at what Nottingham are doing with their potential. They took it to the maximum. Both managers, you've got to give credit to them where it's due. I think if they continue the performance like this, I really don't know who I'm going to vote manager of the season, for me at least. But, the two clubs have shown that when everything is getting together, you need to cherish it, you need to work with it, and you need to work for it as well. And they've done it, right? Getting the results over the line, just absolutely brilliant. And you look at City, you look at Chelsea right now. What are they doing? I have no clue. Very, very apprehensive moving forward for these both top 6 clubs, which they are the top 6 clubs of the Premier League. And it's just seeing them just losing ground left, right, and centre. This to me is just something that needs to be fixed for both clubs, definitely. yeah, I just don't understand really how it's happened for the both of these clubs. But as I said, the games that they've played, they really should have won. I think especially City, they definitely should have won their game. To go 2-0 up and to lose, like, to drop points again like that, unacceptable. Same with Chelsea, to go 1-0 up and not be able to dictate the game, not taking your chances, unacceptable as well. Fourth takeaway, tough time for Moyes and Potter still under observation. Now, obviously, Moyes is back in the dugout with Everton. He's been there many, many years back, like 20 odd years back, and I was back at it again. But again, the problems are still showing itself against Villa. I don't understand why Everton chose to sack Sean Dyche, and I think now is the only opportunity to say it. But the squad's quality is that it doesn't matter what sort of manager you try to bring in, right? It's just not going to work out. As I said, they don't have a good striker. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is scoring goals. He missed a great chance against Villa again. You put in Beto, I don't think it's going to save your problems either. Everton just needs a big rebuild, and they don't even have the opportunity. They have the financials to do that as well. It's just struggle after struggle after struggle. Like I said, relying on Pickford to save the opponent's shots. The defense is just terrified every time the opponent gets onto the attack. At this point, Decore arguably has more goals in the team as well. He looks a lot more lively attacking than the rest of the squad. Moyes is going to have a really, really tough time. Again, just based on recency bias of how Everton been performing over the past couple of seasons, yes, they've been struggling, but ultimately they still managed to stay up. They still managed to pick up wins somehow in the end. I don't know how it's going to pan out really for the rest of the season. Again, apprehensive for this club, 100%. Unless somehow Moyes is able to spot magic like he did at West Ham, it's going to be very, 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 very difficult. And I just don't get it again. Why did sack Sean Dyche? I thought he was doing really well with what he had in the team. I just, I think this sacking is just questioning. It questions me a lot. Like till now, I still can't believe he really had a sack, and I feel bad for him. He's done an exceptional job, really. As I said, with the tools that he had to keep them up in the Premier League, to let them stay in the Premier League, it's huge enough already. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. But it's going to be difficult, as I said, for David Moyes to even do anything now. He's just have to try whatever he can. I mean, even within this window, I don't think Everton can really spend anything either. And as I said, the whole team needs a rebuild. So who's he even going to bring in? I genuinely don't know. And I think it looks bleak when it comes to getting a new signing for Everton. So again, as I said, apprehensive in that regard as well. But as for Potter with West Ham, they did pick up a win against Fulham, which I didn't expect it, of course. I expected them to lose. I mean, they did lose against Villa in the FA Cup, and then they picked up a win here. So, yeah, fair enough. The goals that they scored, I think, were arguably gifts. Obviously, you don't get many gifts in the Premier League, but they still took their chances, which is very good, very clinical, fantastic. The goals they've conceded, I think, are very intriguing, to be honest. Like, how that's worked out. It will be cross, turn to goal twice in the same game. Not very good either. Yeah, still on observation. I think again because of how West Ham are right this season, they just haven't been their best, and I just don't get it as well. Like, yeah, just big contrast really. Um, Lopetegui getting the sack, yes, I think in some sense that was bound to happen, and I think that is only solely because of the fact that their performance just hasn't been great in general. But if we're going to talk about sacking, which we'll talk about later in point number 5, which is about Tottenham, I'll go to that later about sacking a manager. But to be honest, like looking back, I think it's not the end of the world for West Ham. I think maybe we've parked West Ham's expectations on West Ham a little bit too much. We expect West Ham to do a lot better, and I do, because I think the defeats that we've been getting are just too much. The results that we're getting just not convincing enough. The play style that we're moving is just not good enough for me as well. So a lot of problems that I felt were coexisting in this West Ham team. And as I said, the football that Lopetegui probably wanted to channel into the team just wasn't going to work out. So it makes sense that he got the sack. But again, back to Sean Dyche, I just don't understand. So, but what I've seen in the game against Fulham, not too bad from from Potter in general so far. I think we've got to just observe really how he's going to perform moving forward with the team. Against Villa, obviously, I wouldn't say unlucky to get a defeat, but still, I think there was some signs of possible liveliness, and maybe West Ham could have done slightly better, maybe. But again, it's about gelling right now, and hopefully they're able to get results. Hopefully Potter is the right wild card that they put in. You know, I still believe he's a wild card of a signing in terms of managerial change. But you never know. It could really just be good enough for West Ham. So we'll see what happens with that one. Right, takeaway number 5. Tottenham, oh my. And finally, Brighton won. So let me just get this straight, I guess, right? So Tottenham right now, after losing the North London derby to Arsenal, they're 2 points behind West Ham. They've now lost 11 games, now double digits in the Premier League. They've scored a multitude of goals and also conceded a multitude of goals. As I said earlier in the video, 5 points out of 27 after the winning against Man City. And Anghe is still at the job. Now, is it again Anghe's fault? He had a really good start with Tottenham when he first came in. And we're worried, right? But obviously Tottenham being Tottenham, they would just start bottling out of nowhere. They would just not perform all of a sudden and have a little bit of a downfall. It's the same again this season, and this season has just gone from bad to worse. I don't see any positive signs at all from this club. The way they've been playing is absolutely horrific. Nothing like how they played against Man City. They really played Man City were just like amateurs that game, and ever since then Tottenham became the amateurs themselves. It's so questioning again to see how bad a team can be as well. Like, City and Chelsea are in shambles, and in Tottenham they're just in the deep end of monstrosity when it comes to trying to get a result. Just not there. I don't know what's going on with the team. And to be honest, when they went 1-0 up against Arsenal, I felt like they should have worked around it and tried their best to hold on to the result. You know, I think Arsenal had some good chances, but were they good enough for Tottenham to lose the game again? I don't really think so. And again, it's about pride, isn't it? The North London derby, you know, you want to be as positive as you can coming into the game, and you clearly know that it's best to just win these games, especially pride, right? As I've said. Arsenal victors, and it means a lot to Arteta, obviously, you know, being an Arsenal player and arguably an Arsenal fan, and now coaching Arsenal. Yeah, but Tottenham, I'm confused what they're doing again. The Dim and Manchester United are just hilarious this season. I struggle to put my finger as to what's going on here, but yeah, this is definitely unacceptable. And as for Brighton, they finally won. So fantastic to Brighton. Congratulations to Brighton. About time you guys picked up a win. And of course, again, I think it's against a stubborn and resilient Ipswich. But a win is a win nonetheless. And hopefully Brighton are able to use this momentum moving forward and hopefully start to pick up the results. And hopefully we start to see a Brighton that we saw at the start of the season when they beat Man City. I'm talking about that Brighton again. But, you know, I'm looking forward to that sort of Brighton again. And maybe they can challenge again for a good position in the Premier League. It's still opportunities. It's not over until it's over. So cannot write Brighton off again. Essentially, when it comes to achieving a good position in the table. But yeah, my main point about this is on Tottenham, and I don't know what to say about this club, to be honest. Right, last but not least, number 6, Amad Diallo, take a bow. 1-0 down against Southampton. Right, and obviously as a Man United fan, you'll be super worried. You're 1-0 down against bottom of the table. Southampton fans would be ecstatic. You would think Ivan Juric is going to do all he can to get a result over the line. 80th minute hits, Southampton crumble. 3 goals from Amad Diallo, a hat-trick for the lad to secure the win for Manchester United. It felt like Manchester United were playing football in the last 10 minutes, essentially, of the entire game. They were lively. All of a sudden, they somehow managed to just become gods. It's crazy, and Southampton just crumbled. So, my main point is on Amad Diallo. He's had a really good season, in my opinion. I think he's been at the heart of a lot of Man United attacks. It's like when Bruno Fernandes isn't necessarily popping the balls in the back of the net, you've got to rely on someone else, and that person's Amad Diallo. My take on it is that Rashford now, he's just got to leave. I don't think he has a place in the team. I think Amrin has sort of made it clear that he doesn't really want him in the team as well. Yeah, it's unfortunate for Rashford, but again, he just hasn't been performing. Could it be, you know, the position doesn't suit him, etc., etc., the playing style? I don't really know, but, you know, as a fan that maybe someone's looked things on a more superficial level, which is looking at how many goals striker has scored, how many goal contributions he's had to the team, how is he contributing to the team in general, even if it's not goals and assists. Has he been influential in their attacks or defense or whatever it is? And I thought Rashford just hasn't delivered in that aspect whatsoever. All those aspects mentioned, none of it has been performed by Rashford. by Diallo. I think he's done exceptionally well this season. Let's not forget, again, the derby that they beat. They won against City. Again, Diallo was on the end of scoring another goal. So, looks like Diallo loves to score goals when Manchester United are losing a game. But, yeah, brilliant. Diallo, player of the week for sure. A fantastic hat-trick to have. Congratulations to him. But again, as for Southampton, I am confused again. Yeah, to be 1-0 up, the game plan should have been just to stay as compressed as you can, stay as tight as you can, not really allow Manchester United to get the ball. And the way Man United have been playing this entire season, it's arguably easier to defend against them than so many other clubs. And yet Southampton's just going to do it. It's a collapse for me, and Southampton are clearly in trouble. They sort themselves out ASAP, but I think at this rate, again, no manager's probably going to save them. Juric is arguably already in trouble. Not even picked up a single point. Yeah, Southampton could be on course for being the worst performing team in the Premier League since, Sheffield last year? Derby, many years ago? This really could happen, because even when they're leading for so long in the game, they still can't get a result, which is very shattering in my opinion. But again, back to the point, kudos to Diallo. Fantastic job from the lad. Right now, you guys, thank you very much for watching. Again, as I said, it's a completely different concept that I've decided to go with this time around. Didn't really talk about a lot of the games, I guess. I think I've only didn't talk about Leicester, Palace, and maybe Ipswich, Brighton, but briefly talk about Brighton about winning. But yeah, Leicester, Palace, I mean, if I really want to talk about it, Leicester are definitely in trouble. They need to sort themselves out, as I've said. Ruud van Nistelrooy is going to stretch his head even more. Palace, thankfully, they've won, managed to extend the gap over the bottom half of the table. It's straightforward as that. I think Leicester looks more resounding at this rate that they're also going to be getting relegated by the end of the season together with Southampton. It's obviously unfortunate, but it looks like that's going to happen. And Ipswich might also suffer the same fate, but we'll see with that. As I said, Ipswich, I think, really good fighting spirit. But yeah, that will be it really for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and of course, drop a like on the video if you guys have enjoyed. Now, again, as I said, let me know about this concept, what you guys think, and you can discuss in the comments down below what you guys think about the results here and your predictions for game week 22. Now, hits up, and I'll repeat this for that video again. Essentially, I've pre-recorded the predictions for game week 22 before I even recorded this video, and before game week 21 was even played, and I think it was before the FA Cup was even played. So the reason is because I'm very worried I will not have been able to record both videos, and honestly, scheduling is really tight for this week at least. So at least now I'm getting this video out to you. That's the most important thing for me, and also get that video out to you a couple of hours after the release of this video. So that's it really. But again, predictions, ultimately, I don't think I really would have made much changes for that video, and looking at the predictions that I made, I think we're sort of stuck to that. Oh yeah, but that'll be it for this one, guys. Thank you very much for watching. And as I said, been discussing, drop a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Until then, goodbye.